Hi, welcome to the Entry Buckle book review of Conan the Barbarian. You can see all the people that have been involved in the project. This is a Marvel Comics. This is obviously just the cover, the wraparound cover. Now, this is Conan the Barbarian 2019, and it was 1 to 12 from Marvel, and it's a Crimson Witch. A Crimson Witch sets her wicked sights on a young man, a warrior, none she's ever seen before. She keeps trying to find various warriors that can supply blood to bring this massive demon to back again. I'm not certain why people always want that, but anyway, that's what she wants. That's the premise of the story. And this blood, of course, thing is, with Conan, blood needs to be built up to make so he's a great, really, truly great warrior. So it's a really great blood at the thing. So this story is all the way from his start, all the way through, to quotes, the end of his life. The Barbarian is back. Now, there's going to be some spoilers in this, virtually impossible to mention at all, because there's spoilers by just the sheer act of just mentioning. He goes from place to place to place. It's not set in one place only. He goes everywhere. This is like a nostalgia fest for Conan fans. Lots of references to previous villains and characters. Good old Thoth, all those sort of characters. There's the rogues in the house. Loads of other ones turn up. The creature that kills Elite. Loads of them turn up in this, so it's really. But anyway, you can see it's a really nice, reasonably oversized hardback. Would have been lovely if it had been a gallery edition. I would have loved to have seen it as a gallery, but still quite substantial. 296 pages, I think, in this. Colour throughout, so you've got a very decent quality book. And the book came out in 2021. For me, it did anyway. It might have been probably listed as 2020, but quite often that seems to be the way. The number and the dates, etc., all over the place at the moment. So you've got Conan the Barbarian there, and this is the story of his life, all the way from his life to death, etc. Lots of twists and turns. So even though I say life and death, twists and turns all the way through it. It's not. There's points where I thought to myself, I wonder if it's going to be a dream. I wonder if it's going to be this. I wonder if it's that. Maybe find out that we're reading it, and Conan finds out it's a comic book. Oh, that would have been awful. However, that doesn't happen. Luckily, that would be terrible. Not certain why I chose that picture. Doesn't seem to bear any relationship to the book at all. So, why? However, there's all the people involved. So, see there. Obviously by Robert E. Howard, the good old Robert E. Howard. Now, this book obviously wasn't written by R. E. Howard. Maybe he would have done if he had lived. Sadly, he didn't. And there's all the various people that obviously created Barry Windsor Smith, John Buscema, etc. The Marvel comics, obviously not the ones that were done Dark Horse. Life, and obviously then when he's a king, a bit later. So that's the real gamut of the storyline. And there's quite a lot of different scenes all the way through as they move around from place to place. It starts off brutal, and it's pretty brutal all the way through. It's predominantly a male book in terms of there's not many female characters in this. The main character, the Crimson Witch, obviously is female, but however, very few references. There's occasional references to Belit, etc., and others as well, but no Red Sonja, etc. But you got the initial scene of him battling away, and this woman turns up. And of course, you guess what the story's called with Crimson Witch. No, she isn't the Crimson Witch. Of course she is. Yes, she's the Crimson Witch. Anyway, she bets on Conan that he's going to win. All the people around him think he's not. But of course, you know Conan's going to win. Anyone battling, if there's 100 people against Conan, I would still bet on Conan any day. And there he is, sitting there with his drink in his hand, and she comes through, and of course, straight off, flying off. But you know there's a twist. But of course, there's another twist, because the story will be over very quickly if she got her evil ways. She needs his blood. Well, doesn't work out so well in that respect. But of course, would you? With Conan, he's always going to win. However, it goes through all the way through his life. King Conan. And there's some gruesome scenes. But there's two kids. This Crimson Witch has two kids. They're not Conan's. But it's still, all the way through, they keep turning up, all the way through his life. I don't know how they do that, but anyway, that's not explained. I suppose there's magic involved, obviously. But they're still the same age all the way through. Occasionally they sort of turn up and he looks around and he doesn't see them. Sometimes he does. And he sees them once a little later thinking, seen them before, but is that possible? And so on and so on. But they do turn up. And this is all over the place. So you've got him like in the fighting some pigs there. And no deserted cities. That's the one thing that was missing from this, I think, deserted cities. Lots of taverns, lots and lots of other places, lots of snakes, creatures, lots more taverns. The kids, of course, turn up, and there's the kids. You see them there, pretty looking gruesome kids there. Obviously got his nest there. Let's kill him now. And of course, not to, and I won't say it, good and ripe. They need him good and ripe. And then you go to Namibia. Lots of scenes in Namibia. He ends up in prisons. Again, it's every sort of feature, generally, other than deserted cities. Virtually everything that happens in Conan's life turns up in this, generally. You got Conan. I love the line. There's a great, you've got Conan there. He's got a lovely line there. Just great. Don't know, I just love that scene with Conan and a lion, just the Conan thing. The lion just sitting there with the king, obviously nice and happy and content with his life. Well, of course, Conan isn't, and that's the great thing. Conan needs to go out and explore the world and do all these various things. The only slight criticism with this book, and there were a few minor things, but it was like this. They mention the same blurb each time, which of course works well in a comic book when it comes out monthly. But it does show where, of course, it's located. So you've got the high seas, of course, the southern seas. I love the covers. The covers are superb. Of course, the covers also don't have the blurbs, the standard, obviously, Conan on there. So it's quite nice as well. Captain of the Sea of the Dead. That's a bit of a clue as well, isn't it? In terms of course, Conan, of course, battles lots of... Actually, that's pretty good as well. That's a really good story. I love those kids. You've got... quite often seen more food and eating. Lots of food and eating. There's always that in Conan. Then you've got the desert. You've got to have a scene in the desert. You can't beat a good old desert scene. Even there, of course, Conan battles even more people. Then there's really good one here, which actually is nice because it's some sort of traders in the sea. There's a bit of sea that Conan has to deal with. This, I think, was probably my favourite of all the stories. Homecoming. Obviously goes back to Samaria, and you've got some really great things. I mean, I knew straight away what was going to happen. I imagine that if you're looking at this, you'll notice straight away as well. And again, this is a bit of spoiler. Just check out in the foreground what happens when Conan returns. So you'll know what the rest of the story is going to be like. Because you think, as soon as I saw it, I thought, that doesn't look promising. Somehow there's a bit, and then you meet someone, sort of thing. Anyway, I really, really liked this. And it was, I don't know, sort of like H.P. Lovecraftian to me. Maybe other people might look at it completely different. But I just thought, you definitely do not want your homecoming to be like that. I think it's pretty bad. And of course, one of... again, behind the scenes, one of the long, sort of villains is obviously behind everything, which is good. And there's a lot of that all the way through the book. You've got rogues and etc., in the house, all those sort of things. And also, I don't know about this woman. Oh yeah, this is a good scene as well. But again, I don't want to spoil. No, I'm not going to show that. Lots and lots of great violence all the way through, and lots of... It's a nostalgia fest. That's the best way to describe it. I can't think of any other word. It's like the Fantastic Four would end up meeting all their favourite villains all the way through their series, but all in one issue. And this book sort of does that, has that feel to me. I must admit, all the various characters, you think, thorough. And it is violent, a satisfying ending as well, with lots of twists and turns. So it's really, truly a great read. I hardly put it down, I must admit. It was one of those ones I thought, I'm not going to read it. And page 1, all the way through to page 296. Wow, what a great read. And it's great artwork as well. I think the artwork is... The artwork does change quite a bit, so there's quite a variety of artwork. So you've got some... I'm just going to... you've got the good old Conan there, which is on the back, obviously, back cover there. The artwork does slightly vary. I don't know about the artists. I mean, looking at the listing of the artists, there weren't that many artists. But the styles definitely changed a bit. So you just feel slightly different from place to place. But it's pretty brutal. It's very brutal. So if you're coming to it, just the standard sort of old Marvel, 1970s Marvel, it isn't not. It's a lot more brutal. than that. And I think it's well done. This would actually make a great film. This would be, I think this could be definitely a film. So let's see, there's a few extras, not many. We've got a few variants. As Guardian variant, that's nice. So, and other variants as well. Not all of them, unfortunately. I don't know why they do this. Always slightly bugs me occasionally. Well, that's a minor criticism, always of these Marvel ones. Why? Why do a 4? Why do 4? Why not split them over onto, just add a few more pages and put the variants all with a full page. They're just great covers. And then you got a small variant on this one, Steve McNiven. That looks superb. And they do that a few times. They got here, like the Hidden Gem variant, John Buscema one. Again, Bill, well, I can never say his name, Bill Sisnick's Wiki. Anyway, what a great set of variants. But again, wouldn't it be lovely if they had just done them full-sized? And that, I just thoroughly enjoyed this book. I just think it's just a brilliant time. One of those books I'm certain I will pick up and reread and enjoy for many years to come, which is always one thing you can always say about a book. If you can do that, it's something that's worth, I think that's just an absolute gem. So better show the cover instead of showing that. I don't know, maybe there's some variant covers of this as well. I have no idea. This is the cover I've got. This is always trouble. I always assume that the covers are the same, but maybe there are obviously other covers as well. But I think that's just a great, wonderful story, thoroughly enjoyable, and I would definitely recommend it.